Hello, everyone. Today is Tuesday, June the 7th.
I'm Bruce Turner in Melbourne, Florida.
I'm George Dosher in Jacksonville, Florida.
I'm Glenn Jones in Mount Sterling, Kentucky.
I'm Jeff Zayas on the West Coast in Napa, California.
All right, everyone. I'm Jude Carrico. Hey, on tonight's Tech and Coffee's Android Journal, Cortana on your Android device. Hey, we're still going to be Android versus iOS probably for the end of time. And which phone is the phone that people say is the greatest? Which phone is it people say is the fastest? Hey, all of that and more on this week's edition of Android Journal. How we doing?
Pretty good.
All right, very good, very good. So everybody having a good week so far? Bruce, I know you're this is your week away from home. You down in Florida. How's the weather that way, man? I think George and you could maybe swim and visit one another.
We got a little tropical weather for sure. Just lots of rain and some wind here. Not as bad as they did on Tampa and Pinellas. They got some flooding. I don't know. Did you guys get flooding, George, in Jacksonville?
There wasn't flooding that I know of. There was trees everywhere this morning, or tree parts everywhere. There was a lot of power outage in certain areas. They said it might take a day or two to get cleared up. Luckily, I wasn't hit by that. So.
All right. Hey, guys, let's get on with the show, man. You know, it was real funny. We're an Android show. Last week I led with a Microsoft article where basically Microsoft was letting go about all of its Nokia staff that it had acquired a few years earlier.
Yep.
And, you know, a couple of years ago, Microsoft came out with a little fitness band and made their Cortana available for it. And this week they announced that, hey, guess what, everybody? You can get our Cortana voice search on your Android phone. Has anyone had an opportunity to play with Cortana yet?
On my phone, no, but on my desktop, yes.
Okay. Jeff, you've probably, because while I've had it available for a while, I really haven't played with it any. What's your impressions of it?
I actually think it's quite good. It's very responsive, zippy. You know, it's doing everything it needs to do. I mean, you ask it a question, it comes back. I haven't played with it in terms of, you know, set up a reminder or do any of those things. But in terms of asking questions and getting a reasonable response, it's pretty quick, actually.
Okay, just prior before going on the show, I don't know if you can see. I know it's hard to see that little microphone right there. I downloaded Cortana. It put this little microphone here. So Jeff, I'm going to push the microphone, and you ask it the question that we always ask our voice search. Here we go. Ready?
Yep. Cortana, how old is Pamela Anderson?
It didn't take. Let's try it again.
How old is Pamela Anderson?
Okay.
Maybe you didn't hear me.
Who was the 22nd president? So it basically took me to a search. And by the way, it looks like that was Grover Cleveland.
So did it come back with how old Pamela Anderson was?
It did come back.
But it didn't say it, huh?
Yes, it did.
Oh, I couldn't hear it. Okay.
Old, yeah. Here, let me do it this way, just to prove to you, Jeff. How old is Pamela Anderson?
Pamela Anderson is 48 years old.
Oh,
Okay.
just a baby.
So, let's see. Let me try this. How old was George Washington when he died?
George Washington was 67 years old at the age of death.
Well, that's pretty quick.
What did George Washington die of?
George Washington died on December 14, 1799.
Well, it didn't tell me what he died of. So out of curiosity, really quick, bear with me. Okay, Google. What did George Washington die of?
According to PBS, in the 215 years since Washington died, several retrospective diagnoses have been offered ranging from croup, quinsy, Ludwig's angina, Vincent's angina, diphtheria, and streptococcal throat infection to acute pneumonia.
So who won that one?
Well, that would be Google, of course.
Okay, Google. I didn't start. Yeah.
Well, I think Google will always win on those type questions over anybody, really. Because like Bing and a lot of like Alexa or Amazon Echo, they probably use Wikipedia as their main kind of info.
So let me just ask a question, and I mean I know I'm jumping from Cortana on Android to something different. Is Microsoft desperate?
Desperate how?
Well, to get their services on mobile devices that they can't seem to be able to play in the game any other way. I mean, listen, Cortana's been available on Microsoft's wearables for 2 years, and you know, the phone market was less than 2%. What Microsoft had. So, are they desperate?
This is kind of what we said last week, right? That Microsoft is going to push into the software market rather than develop new, mobile wear, phones, which made more sense. And I think this makes more sense, especially since if they want to sell their Microsoft Band to users, that don't have Windows phones.
I don't think it calls. I wouldn't call them desperate. I know it seems like they're behind a little bit in some areas. Like they're just now bringing out Cortana for the Xbox. So, that's a product that is basically Windows 10 computer in a box now, and they're just now bringing Cortana to it. So that's their own flagship product. That's one of their big deals. But I wouldn't call them desperate. I'd just say late to the game because of Siri and because of Google Now. It's something that they are trying to catch up on, but I wouldn't say they were desperate.
If you look at Cortana, you look at Siri, you look at Google Now, who wins in the end, guys?
I'd have to 50-50 it on Google and Siri because Julia, my fiance, has an iPhone 6S Plus, and that thing is actually very, very... Well, it has its moments where it doesn't work very well, but also Google Now has those moments as well. So I think right now Google and Apple are both kind of sharing the top spot of the mobile assistant kind of deal.
Here's where I disagree with you. Apple says that they value your privacy.
Oh, that's been BS for years. Yeah, nuh-uh. At least Google's open about it. We are, gathering data on you.
But if Apple does it, then there's going to be backlash because people are drawn to iOS because Apple is valuing your privacy. So therefore, they can't reach out into these places into search. I just think that Google is better positioned to be your assistant, and Siri is going to have to change. Apple's going to have to change a lot of user agreements before Siri can compete with where Google's at right now. Anybody else want to disagree with me?
No, Google's behind. They're behind, like we said last. I mean, Microsoft is behind, like we said last week, in the mobile phone market. They're behind in this vocal search market with the Amazon Echo and the Google Home thing coming out. There's no way Cortana. They're too far behind too soon. So they're so far behind. Here comes my pun. You know, I got a pun every week, right? I think their next acquisition ought to be Charmin.
See, and you'd have to squeeze Cortana to get an answer.
Or Cottonmouth, yeah. Brawny, maybe.
Yeah.
So what about Siri, Bruce? What about Siri?
Well, you know, I'm not around a lot of people who actually use Siri. That's really strange. I mean, I'm around a lot of phones in airports and even where I work right now, and I'm around iPhones, and I don't hear a lot of people, using Siri. So I really don't have a lot of observations as far as Siri versus Google as far as an assistant.
I can grab Julia's phone real quick. We can run a little test here if we wanted to. Maybe some other time.
Okay. All right. Hey, listen. We were talking about Siri. Let's talk about Android versus iOS, guys. And this has been across all internet communities that are iOS or Android based. You've got your naysayers. The other side that, oh, this is an iPhone killer. This phone, it will be an iPhone killer. And then you got the iPhone comes out, and it's take that Android. And we've gone back and forth. And the Android community has actually had some ammunition here lately. If you look at the last couple of quarters, iPhone sales they're trending downward. A lot of people are saying, well, it's time. People are smarter. They're not going to be buying Android. Hey, guys, let's put this in perspective. First of all, if I can find my data here, in quarter 2 of this year, of 2016, Apple's sales were lower versus the same quarter last year by 12.8%.
First time in their history, though.
Well, first time in history. Hey, guys, this was also a $58 billion quarter. How many companies would love to have their sales off by almost 13% and still made over $58 billion? Okay.
Yeah. Well, and I just want to be, I kind of just want to jump in just for 1 second. They knew this was happening. They actually said that their sales was going to be down. So, I mean, they actually saw this coming a little bit. So it wasn't like it was a big, shock, So that's all I wanted to say. I have nothing else.
So,
well, weren't the numbers that all smartphone sales were down as well?
That's where I was going, Glenn.
Yeah.
Okay, and let's put this in perspective too. When Apple sells an iPhone, it normally takes someone like a LG or an HTC to sell 3 of their smartphones to make the same profit that Apple did on one iPhone.
Oh yeah, they charge a ridiculous amount for the phone.
And as long as that's still working for Apple, I mean, Apple can really afford for their sales to dwindle over time.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to, okay?
Hey, Duke, your video is still showing the keyboard, just so you know.
Yeah. So I guess, guys, the question that I have for you guys is this time next year, George, what is Apple going to be reporting for the second quarter of 2017?
Well, probably not 92% of the market. I mean, I don't know. I don't see. I mean, Apple's always going to be there. They're always going to be strong, but I think Android is going to definitely win over most markets.
Okay, I mean, most are saying right around 85% of the worldwide smartphone market is Android. Of course, we can all get into a lot of that Android is running Donut or Eclair.
Yeah, they've got some really old hardware. Like you go to any one of these prepaid places and they're offering you a $20 cell phone, Android phone for their plan. So plus you also with Apple you have Apple. With Android you have just about every letter in the alphabet covered on companies, multiple companies that are building Android phones. So, and they're doing it cheaper. The one argument that I always see is yes, Apple's making more money, but they're also charging 3 times more than what most Android makers are actually charging for their phones.
Isn't that a wonderful problem?
Well, I mean, at that point, the argument should be how many handsets are being activated versus how many sales or how many dollars in the sales, because that would be the true justification of it right there. It's, we've activated 2 million handsets in X amount of time, whereas Apple's only done 1 million. That shows you the true balance of what's going on with the market. Is doing that instead.
Yeah, but again, Apple, I mean, their mobile market is always going to be strong, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone kind of agrees that. There's the Apple fanboys. And on the other hand, their ancillary products, such as iTunes and their music library, will benefit from a strong user base that is connected to them. So they make money both ways probably pretty well, right?
Oh yeah, well I mean they charge what 30% on iTunes apps, and like they get a huge amount of money from stuff, not kickbacks, but
yeah,
if you build an app and put it in the App Store and you charge $3, 30% of that is going to Apple. That's guaranteed right off the top. You're going to be not making that money. So they're not doing bad. I mean they work. Their products work, and that's the beautiful part about them.
So if you're watching live on YouTube, you can see that this is an iPad 2. Still getting regular updates from Apple.
Yeah.
Running the latest Apple firmware. This is an iPad 2. This thing is, what, 4 or 5 years old?
Easy, yeah, I think.
You name me one Android device. Name me a Nexus device that is still getting updated by Google 5 years after its release.
Let me double check. I think I put this thing back to factory, but I don't think it's got.
But you're right, Duke. A lot of Android devices don't get updated regularly because the manufacturer is the one that more or less pushes it. Now, if you have a Nexus device, you're guaranteed updates to a certain point. I think it's 3 or 4 years. But there's one Android device. There's one Android device that's pretty much proprietary that gets regular updates. That would be anything with the Kindle or Fire OS on it. They get updated to the Fire OS. I get updates on this thing all the time. So you can guarantee, like you say, it's comparing it to Apple in essence because this is a proprietary device using Fire OS. It's going to keep getting updates up until Amazon decides that this device is no longer supported.
Mm-hmm.
Where nobody else is using Fire OS, nobody else is using iOS, but everybody in the world is using Android. So it depends on the manufacturer whether they're going to support updates. Usually they put their own remix of Android on there. So if they don't update that remix of Android, it's not using stock, you're not going to get that update.
Oh yeah, 99% of the time it's the manufacturer of the cell phone is the reason why you don't get updates.
Now you can root the device and throw, a vanilla version of Android on there. Not recommended, not for the faint of heart, but you could do that.
Yeah, and I mean, and you can do things with iOS by jailbreaking it. I guess uh, being supportive is, I think that's, I'm sorry. I still think it's a problem for Google. I think Google needs
Mhm.
to address it. I don't know how they address it. I mean, you've got this open handset alliance. What do? Do you kick them out and say you can no longer put the Play Store on your devices because, your phone, you haven't pushed an update to your phone since it was released? How does Google address that?
They can't, and they developed the model to take on iOS, and that was called, kind of like an open model, right? Any manufacturer can put this software on it, and therefore they gained market share. Now they can't put that genie back in the bottle and say, I don't want you to put anything else on this thing. It all has to be vanilla. It all has to be the same. It's hard for them to do that, I think.
Didn't they say about 2 or 3 years ago at Google I/O that they were going to try and do something like that, where they were going to?
Oh,
They were encouraging, it was like an 18-month that you would push out, when you release the phone, that you would push out the next upgrades for 18 months after the release of your device. It's never happened.
Oh no, no.
And in all fairness, I think that both Samsung and HTC the last couple of years and LG have done a much better job of pushing updates to their devices.
Yep.
But there's still, I mean, where Apple, it's easier for Apple. I know it's easier for Apple because it's their OS, it's their hardware. They control it much more tightly than Google can, just by making, a software and saying, we'll make money off advertising. You make money off putting it in devices, Okay, listen, man. Let's move on. Let's move on to the next article. But that is something that's a little frustrating to me. Android versus iOS. I think that iOS is going to be here forever, man.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going anywhere. And I've said on this, at the risk of being ridiculed like Jeff was that time when he defended iOS. I think iOS is a great operating system. I just happen to prefer Android. Doesn't mean I think Android's perfect, but Android's the better OS for me. All right, hey, listen. I saw where the Huawei watch. It's on sale right now, Best Buy, depending on your model and options, $100 to $150 off. So that means that you can get what's considered to be the best Android Wear watch currently available, starting at $250. Okay? Now, I'm sporting a lower end Android Wear watch. Bruce has yet to take the plunge. George has gone the Pebble route and not Android Wear. Glenn has gone the Samsung Gear route.
Yep.
Jeff bought a Pebble the other day. I haven't heard. Have you returned it yet?
no, it's not. I did the Kickstarter thing for the Pebble Time too.
Okay.
So,
I'm sorry. I thought you already had it.
so I haven't accepted it yet, so I still have time. No pun intended.
Okay. All right.
Fun returning a Kickstarter project.
I bet.
Yeah. Good luck.
I
Keep
bet
in mind that I did own the Moto 360 for a short time and then returned it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, Bruce, let me start with you. You tried out the 360. You returned it. Why no Android Wear?
I just don't need a watch. I don't need a watch. I like my mobile device. I especially like the fact that the S7 has the always-on screen. So this is always laying around me. I don't need to look at my wrist. I just look over at my phone. I can see what my battery life is, what the day is, what the month is, and what time it is. I just don't need a watch. I haven't worn a watch now in probably 6 years, and I tried the Moto 360 to go back and try the watch, and the notifications really were the only thing that I found somewhat valuable, but it ended up being more annoying, which is why I took it back.
Hey, Jeff, why the Pebble 2 versus Android Wear?
For me, I was enticed by the idea of the heart rate monitor that was built into the Time 2 and the 10-day battery life. That was the big thing. And since I do a lot of biking, I want to be able to control my phone, like, next song and things like that through the Pebble without reaching inside to grab the phone. And hopefully that's probably going to do it. So the heart rate monitor and the 10-day battery life was kind of like the big thing.
So with Android Wear, and I mean, I'm just challenging you here.
Mm-hmm.
You are aware that you can do what you just said without the 10-day battery life. I'll give you that.
So that was the big thing. I didn't want to charge another thing every day.
So but with Android Wear, you can speak the next song.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that Pebble Time has a microphone as well. Time, and
It does.
I don't know if you can speak it, but I know you can control the music that you're playing through the watch, if you swipe it or whatever. I just for what I wanted, that was kind of what I was And I have no idea what the Hawaii watch, what its battery life is. But 250 sounds very reasonable for it. If it's I would imagine it only has a 48-hour battery life though.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
doubt. I doubt it's 2 days.
I'd say 24 hours at most,
Yeah,
maybe.
see, and I want to be able to wear a watch and not take it off at night. Have it do the sleep monitor thing, do all those things as well. If I'm going to get this health tracking, I might as well know the whole thing and give it a shot and charge it once a week, basically.
So George, you've used a Pebble for a while. Why not Android Wear?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I've seen people use Android Wear. I kind of like the Pebble. I like what it does for me. I get notifications. I have the Pebble Steel, which is one of the first-gen watches. I still get about 5 days off of it, and it takes about 45 minutes to charge, which is not bad at all.
Mhm.
It's a great little watch. I love the notifications. I can select notifications. As a matter of fact, Pebble just changed not only the operating system on my watch, but they changed the application in the Android store, and they also now require you to install the Android Wear application as well, because it now uses partial notifications off that. So it's using the same stuff Android Wear uses, as well as the Pebble application to push your apps over to it.
All right, hey Glenn,
Mm-hmm.
how often do you use your watch?
Lately, not nearly as much. When I was a cable guy, all the time. Being able to be up a pole and have a phone conversation with somebody, and also be able to take a picture of something if I needed to, get notifications, different stuff like that was nice. But honestly, as of late, not very much. The hair is actually starting to grow back where the watch used to be. So yeah, that should tell you how often I use it. But if I had like a Moto 360, the second gen or something like that, I'd probably use it more, because the only reason that I bought that was I got it dirt cheap, and I had a Samsung phone at the time, which I still do, but I had the Note 3, and it would work with the Note 3. But I'd like to be able to connect it to my Nexus 7, my HP touchpad, all that different stuff, so I can actually use it more than just one device.
So Bruce, you laid forth that hey, you tried that 360 and it wasn't for you. You were, your phone did everything already. What the 360 would do, it was more a nuisance than it was convenience for you. What would Android Wear need to do really well to sway your mind?
Biggest thing for me would be battery life. It's challenging enough keeping up with keeping the phone charged, keeping my little Bluetooth headsets charged, those types of things. I think if it had 7 days battery life, I think that would be enough.
I have something for you later on, Bruce, that you may enjoy. We'll take a look at that here in a bit.
All right. Hey, guys, I'm going to move on to the next article here. First of all, a little survey was done to see how satisfied Americans were with their current smartphone device. So, if you would if I was to ask you to guess right now, you would probably guess the iPhone. But the iPhone wasn't the winner here. Surprisingly, it was the Samsung Galaxy Note 5. It earned a score of 86 out of a possible 100 in the poll.
Mm-hmm.
The iPhone 6S was right there. It barely beat it out, but it still beat it out. And this basically it was manufacturer reliability. Samsung actually took the back seat to Apple, but overall on customer satisfaction, the Note 5 won. Is this surprising to you guys, given the popularity of the iPhone product here in America? Is this surprising to you guys?
I would say no. But I also own a Note 5, so...
Yeah, everyone I know that has a Galaxy, either a Note 5 or a Note or just a Galaxy S7, loves the phone. They seem to like and love their phones, so not surprising. Bruce has one. He loves his phone.
Yes.
So I was a little surprised here. I wasn't expecting this, even though I was aware, that the Galaxy series it's doing good. It's by far the most popular Android phone. But I was just surprised that the Note 5 won out here.
Do you think it has to do with the higher end phones in terms of cost make people want to say I like it because they would hate to say I hate it?
So you think there's a psychological thing going on there? And
possibly.
I think they spend more time on the OS or the UI side. For me personally, also the lower end phones are going to have lower hardware. So yes, definitely when you put money down on it, you're going to end up getting a better product. Hopefully. But in this case, I think they really smoothed out the UI. They made it so it doesn't really slow it down. Even though it has bloatware on it, it still runs pretty well. I haven't had any real problems. I restart my phone every other day just as a habit because that keeps everything fresh and going. And this is the first phone since the G1 that the original Android phone that I have not put a new OS on. I've kept it stock and I've been very happy with it. The Note 3, I blew that out first day, pretty much.
And how much do you think it is that Android operating system has gotten better and more reliable throughout this time period too? They've kind of cleaned up their act a little bit, right?
Yeah, they've been cleaning up the system, making it faster, smoother, and I really do think a lot of it does have to come down to TouchWiz or whatever they're wanting to call it now. They've really been trying to clean it up and make it where it doesn't cause as many problems, because that's where majority of cell phones, the UI becomes the issue. At least in my opinion, the UI is usually where everybody's, starting to get hateful about it. So.
And as a Nexus user, they're pushing out these monthly updates,
mm-hmm.
And as someone who used to root everything, that as soon as he got it, most of the time the day he got it, he would root it. Okay. To me, it's not beneficial to root anymore. It's too much of a hassle, because if I'm going to get that monthly, I'm going to have to unroot it, take the OTA, or unroot it and install it myself manually, okay, and then root it back. And, I'm spending time every month, and I'm doing this, and I'm saying, now, wait a minute, help me out here. Why were you rooting? Oh, yeah, for Wi-Fi access. Oh, and titanium backup. I mean, that was basically the two reasons that I was rooting. It's just not worth it anymore,
Yeah.
Hey, guys, let's talk about another poll. Basically, Antutu has put out its list of the top 10 smartphones according to performance. They did this in May of this year. And, I'm looking at this list, and I don't even recognize a lot of these phones. Guys, I'm an Android Google fanboy, and I don't even recognize these things, man.
I do.
X-Play 5 Elite. Okay? Now, I need to say something here. The top three that I'm going to name off here are running a Snapdragon 820 processor and 6 gigabytes of RAM. Okay? Vivo X-Play 5 Elite, La Echo Max 2, Lenovo Zuck Z2 Pro. These were your top performing smartphones for May. Okay? Now, guys, next was the Xiaomi 5. After that is one we would all recognize, the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge. Okay? Below the Samsung are the two iPhones. Of course, LG's on there. I don't see Huawei. I don't see Motorola on any of these. Okay?
HD.
Yeah. I guess what that tells me is China's making some pretty high performing smartphones here, guys. Would you not agree?
Oh yeah, you put 6 gigs of RAM in there, it's gonna be pretty quick, I would imagine. I mean, that's like a PC in a phone.
No,
Well,
they do a comparison of PC on that too. So. Go ahead. Sorry.
The Xiaomi 5 actually only has 4 gigs of RAM, and it's still ranked pretty darn high. So that's pretty impressive.
It's still ranked above the iPhone 6 and the SE, which what's it running to? 3 gigs of RAM. I can't remember now. I actually read in one of the teardowns what it was running. I see if somebody knows, let us know. I can't recall right off the top of my head. Maybe I should ask Cortana.
Yeah, that'd be good. But when you think about this, no one's are you surprised at how the performances there it's coming out of these phones now? I mean, it's Moore's law, isn't it? Every couple of years, the technology doubles, or whatever the deal is. So they're just screaming these things out. Skynet is next. Celadon processing.
Well, you guys remember the Atrix, right? The phone that you could plug it into a base and it would turn into an Ubuntu. I think we lost Duke. I think he's going to grab it. So nowadays, with phones being as fast as they are, do you think that a product like that would be able to come out and maybe give the Chromebook a run for its money again? Or is it just we don't need a phone that can be a laptop as well?
I always was intrigued with this whole thing, to tell you the truth. So
I was very surprised with it. What do you think, Bruce?
I don't think so, although I did read an article today that I found interesting. Samsung is looking again at a foldable phone that would open up and give you a bigger screen and everything. But
Right.
no, I think Chromebooks are successful, and if China wants to come out with a piece of hardware that's going to make for a really nice Chromebook and fast, there's no need for them to, develop their own operating system, just like they're doing, cranking out these great Android phones now with the Android operating system, and they're doing pretty much stock Android too. I mean, right? I mean, they're not.
yeah, I would imagine it'd be stock.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
So
Now-
they.
Yep.
I mean, they can compete against Asus and Lenovo and Toshiba and Acer on a really high-end Chromebook that could be really fast, touch screen, backlit keyboard, and compete that way, I think.
So the original, the Atrix, which I think Duke was just holding up, it was running Ubuntu, if I'm not correct, wasn't it? Some
No.
form of Linux.
No, the interface was a Linux interface where you would plug it in. It was a laptop without a processor.
Right. Yeah.
It was the processor, so it had a place on the back to where you would plug it in. It was a USB and an HDMI.
Right.
HDMI, and you would plug it into this keyboard screen peripheral, and the interface became something that wasn't necessarily Android. It wasn't necessarily Linux, but it was more like Chrome OS in that it was a browser and would launch certain Android programs that Motorola had interfaced with this little Linux kernel.
Sure.
And listen, the idea was genius for the time, but what killed Motorola on it was the cost of this keyboard peripheral was more than the dad blasted phone was. Okay, so
$300-400, wasn't it?
you were basically, to buy the phone and the keyboard, you were making like an $800 commitment, and
Right.
at that time, hey, $800 bought a whole lot of very powerful laptop. Okay.
Sure.
And I think that's what killed it. I mean, I've said all along, if that keyboard peripheral had hit at around $150, Motorola would have changed the mobile industry.
That's right. Yep.
But yeah, they couldn't pull it off. And listen, it was the same thing. Palm had done the same thing. They made a little device called the Folio.
Yeah.
That basically turned your Palm Trio into the processor to power the Folio. And it was priced the same way with the same results, I might add. They never recovered from Palm. Palm never recovered from the Folio incident. They never did. Everything was downhill from then on.
So now that we have the technology to do stuff cheaper and still have a pretty decent quality, I'd like to challenge the cell phone makers. Make these new devices happen. Like, I would love to be able to carry around, instead of carrying my laptop, my 15-inch heavy laptop, I'd love to be able to slot my phone into it and have my computer, or have a little dock at my home. Pop it down into that, and all of a sudden everything that I've been working on pops up on the screen. Something like that would be, we've done it before. It's been done before, yes. The problem is, like you said, ridiculously priced accessories, the keyboard. Sell the phone with the keyboard. Make it a package deal. I'd pay, you end up paying $600-700 for these phones over the term of the contract. I'd pay a few extra bucks a month to have that little dock included with it. That wouldn't faze me a bit. When I flop down the money, yeah, sure, that would hurt. But if you do it as a package deal, I think that's where the magic would happen, because you can add that in over the course of the contract. But I'd love to see it, and have it run Chrome OS, something really light. Have it built in, to run this. Google, you can do that easy, I think. I'm done. Off the soapbox.
Oh, I think it's a great idea. Hey, gang, before we go into our share segment tonight, let's quickly just discuss who we are and what we do. First of all, we are Tech and Coffee. I promise you, everyone on this panel are people that I think I've met. Well, let's see, I've met Bruce and George in real life. Hope to meet Glenn real soon. And
Keeping
Jeff,
this
you're out on the
close.
West Coast, so
Yeah.
until,
Bye.
Yeah, see you later.
until you fly us out there, which
Yeah.
what do you think? Christmas? We'll be out there for Christmas this year. Gonna fly us all out and.
Yeah, when I win the big lotto, the $250 million, you're going to be the first person I fly out.
Oh, awesome, Jeff. Awesome. I can't wait. Hey, honestly, guys, we check us out at techandcoffee.info. That is techandcoffee, one word, .info. We all met in Google Hangouts, and you could come hang out with us right now.
Well, not right now, but
Well, there's
after
probably
the show.
somebody in the room. Yeah, don't go over there right now. We got a crazy Canadian probably over there right now playing games. Hey, we got a Twitter and a Facebook. Check us out at Tech and Coffee 1. That's Tech and Coffee number 1, all one word. Our YouTube channel is Tech and Coffee. Hey, check out this podcast. Maybe another one coming soon. There's talk about reviving our Tech and Coffee Tech News Week podcast. You can catch those and on Stitcher Radio, iTunes, Player FM. Hey, tweet us using the hash Tech and Coffee. And as always, questions, comments, and snide remarks, AJ at techandcoffee.info. Bruce, I see you on the far left there, so if you want to go ahead and what do you got to share with us tonight?
All right. Well, last week I talked about having fun with my new Galaxy S7 taking videos. This is my Manfrotto Pixie nice tripod here, and I got my Rode Video Mic Me for getting some good audio quality. And last week I talked about Filmic Pro. Filmic Pro is the best app. It's $9.99. It's a real pro app, I might say, for taking video. I can take video using the onboard camera app or using Google Camera. And they all offer some functionality, but nothing comes close to Filmic Pro for taking the video, being able to auto adjust, or rather to manually adjust the ISO and the focus point and all that sort of thing. It's just really great. So once you create your video, then you want to be able to edit your video. Now, to be honest, I've been editing some of my YouTube videos using Windows Movie Maker on my desktop or my laptop. Sometimes I can edit a video using the Creator Studio on YouTube itself. But what about if I'm just kind of out and about and I want to do the whole edit on my phone? Now, I tried WeVideo. I actually paid for the pro version of WeVideo. I've tried Viva Video. Duke, I know you've looked at that. By the way, I just deleted Viva Video off my phone, and I'm about to delete WeVideo off my phone. They're a lot of fun. They have some fun things, but if you really want to get serious, and I know, Duke, you've been trying Adobe Cut, but let me tell you about Power Director video editor. Now, Power Director is by Cyberlink. If you've ever bought a PC or a laptop, you've probably had some Cyberlink software on there for creating CDs, burning DVDs, and things like that. If you get the free version, then it's supported by ads, and you get the Power Director, watermark on there. If you want to get rid of the ads, you want to get rid of the watermark, and this is for a lot of these free video editor apps. They do the same thing. Then you need to go ahead and pay for this. This is a one-time purchase, $4.99 to get everything they have. So let me just kind of talk to you a little bit about this particular app and what it does. So just to kind of give you some kind of an idea, you're looking at the screen share off of the Google Play Store, and if you look here, I was going to show you my phone, but I'm on my laptop, and TeamViewer is just not working as good for my laptop as it did on my desktop last week. But if you look here, you see a couple of buttons. This button, of course, is a play button. This is a button if you want to preview what you're editing in full screen, you can do that. Settings will give you a number of different things. This is the button you would click to add videos. The nice thing about this will let you add videos directly from your Google Drive, cloud storage, and then if you wanted to add a text slide or any effects, it's got some interesting effects. But here you can see that they've loaded a video, and then they've created some text. Now this text, you can drag that around and it'll play over the top of the video, but you can choose a couple different styles for this text. You can have the letters come in one at a time and any one of a number of different ways, and then you could add music. When you have the paid version, it comes with some stock royalty-free music that you can use. Or what I do, quite honestly, I go to YouTube Creator Studio and I download all these royalty-free, and they keep adding more and more. I've got a whole bunch of them on my Google Drive account. So I can go to Google Drive and I can play it right from there and decide which one I want. I don't have to necessarily, download it from YouTube because I've already downloaded a lot of them. But it works really great. So this is the screen you get. You can create a new project, or you can see your other projects that you've already done out there. You click on the video you want. Once you click on the video, you click the plus sign, and it drops it right down into your timeline. This is the opportunity for you to trim. You can do all kinds of edit. You can not only trim off of either end, but you can do splits out of it, and that's really that's a really important feature as well. You can double check some amazing effects that they have here, and some of this really gets pro. I mean, the fact that you can do this all on your phone is really quite amazing, and you can see the difference of the effects. It's just like adding filters in Instagram and stuff like that. So that's really neat. They've got some transitions. You got to be really careful with transitions. You can go crazy with transitions and make it look, really Mickey Mouse. If you look at a lot of professional television, they're not doing a lot of crazy transitions. They're mostly doing hard cuts. And one of the things I like about hard cuts is the ability to time those cuts with the beat of the music. You got to really get good at that, but it's a lot of fun. On these texts that you can put over your video, you've got an opportunity to change the color, the font, and the size. You can tilt it like they've done with this one, and that's pretty cool. So anyway, once you've you finished your edit, then you can produce and save it. You can share it to Facebook. You can share it to YouTube directly from the phone. You want to make sure that you're on Wi-Fi. You don't want to use up a lot of your data sending up a very large file to YouTube or whatever. I believe you can also do it to Vimeo. So anyway, it's just a really, really great program. It's the best that I've found for editing video. It's worth the $4.99 one time, and they continue to update it. So I like it. Power Director Pro for editing. Filmic Pro for creating the videos. Power Director for editing.
All right. Thank you very much, Bruce. I'm just real quick. Let me just say I did purchase that, and I've played with it some, but I haven't. To be honest with you, I haven't produced any kind of a video yet. I've dropped a few videos in. I've kind of edited, so forth, etc. I do like it, but just let me say, I still like Viva Video Pro. I think it's good. I think it's got some fun stuff. I don't really like the interface of it. Even though I think all the tools that I need are there, I have found the interface not very intuitive and kind of clunky in some instances. Another one that I looked at, Bruce, is KineMaster. And it is a very highly rated app, but this thing is a subscription. I mean, I'm talking, like $40 a year subscription to use this video editing app. Even though it looks great, I'm just not that serious about video editing to spend that kind of money per year for the privilege. And guys, I know I normally go last, but since we're talking about this, I thought I would go ahead and go next. Yes, I have been using Adobe Premiere Clip. And really quick here, just to kind of show you, here's really one thing that's really cool about Adobe Premiere Clip or I'm sorry, clip. If you're using this with Adobe Premiere, everything that you do within your phone, you can import or export right into Adobe Premiere and continue editing with that professional software program. Another thing about this video editing app is it's free. And it does allow you, it's just like Bruce said, it's got some free music. If you want to run music in the background, it does allow controls to where you can adjust the level of the music versus the level of the video if you want to keep or take away one or the other. It's got if you notice right here on this screen, you can see the little purple. If I wanted to take this particular picture right here that you can barely see if you're watching on YouTube, and I say I want this to go for 5 seconds, then I can drag it from the second that it was and drag it out here, and now the person will see that. As far as transitions, Bruce, you can add some transitions on this. The default is a hard cut, and the effect is a slow inward zoom on the photos. So that's the only effect that you can add. Now you can do some other things with colors, so forth, etc. But it really is a complete app. The interface is very intuitive, and in fact here, let me just I think I've still got it up, and I'll show you. Here we go. This is what it looks like. If you guys can see that, you can add titles. You can stretch the title out for as long as you want to. It's like I say, it is a very intuitive looking app. So and it's free. So I think it's real good and really quick here. I'm going to show you. This was my test video, and I called this Adobe Cut. It is Adobe Premiere Clip, but here is just a little 1-minute video that I created. This was first try, just grabbing some pictures and videos that I had. Oops, look at there. What has happened there? Let me
Ruh-roh, Raggy.
let's try it again. So that was done. Every bit of that was done right from my Nexus 6P. Honest to goodness, less than 10 minutes for that. For all of those, like I say, the edit, the fade, so forth, etc. And that is Adobe Premiere Clip. It is free, and I think it's a pretty powerful video editing program. I'm not sure that it's as good as Power Director, but let me play with it a little bit more, Bruce, and maybe we can debate that in a future show sometime.
Let me ask both of you. Can you speed up and slow down a video? So can you stretch it out so it slows it down? Or
Yes, and I've not seen that in any other editor than Power Director. You can go in there, and I wish I could have shown this to you, but you click on the video, and then you click one of the icons, and then you can actually drag it. You can play it at a quarter time, half time, and you can slide it back and forth. You can actually start, like, have you ever seen some YouTubers where they started out in real time, and then they go to a particular point and then they speed up the rest? You can do all of that with Power Director.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
And I just want to say on both of these that just think when you have the ability to do that on your Chromebook.
Oh,
and I've thought about
huge.
that. I have thought about that. The power of video editing. When I could pull this up on a Chromebook, and I'll be honest with you, one thing that I've thought about on these video editing apps is I want a tablet view mode, okay? And I was looking at Bruce's and how it was laid out on the phone. You had something on the left, you had something on the right, you had the right, you had the timeline along the bottom. See, that's what I expect out of a video editing program, and that's exactly how Bruce's was laid out. So, yeah, you get something like that on a Chromebook, hey, look out, Windows Movie Maker, okay? I mean, let's face it, probably 80% of YouTube was made in Windows Movie Maker, and this is real competition for programs such as that, I'll tell you.
And this is where my challenge to cell phone manufacturers comes into play again.
Okay. Hey, listen, Bruce and I have gone. George, why don't you go next, brother?
Okay, actually, I don't know how many people here use two-step authentication. I'm sure we all do because it's the safest way to fly. Two-step authentication basically allows you to have not only a password but a 6-digit login that changes every minute, sort of like a soft token or sort of like an old-fashioned token that we used to carry around when we did VPNs and stuff. Well, I use one on my Android devices called Google Authenticator. You can't really see that, but I'll throw it up on my screen because you're not really going to be able to see. So Google Authenticator is pretty cool, but I've had an issue. Google Authenticator is not available for my Kindle. So I use something called SafeToken. It takes literally the same barcodes you'd scan and has the exact same token numbers that comes across on it. And I'll give you a quick peek off my Kindle, which is sitting right here. I don't know, I'll put it up like that so you can see it. You can see there's a bunch of numbers and other things, and it changes. They'll all turn red in about a minute or so, saying they're about to change. It's pretty much the same, but it's available for Kindle. It's not available on the Google App Store at all. I've checked. It is free, 100% free 99, as in beer, and it's pretty cool. Also, while I'm sitting here for my last 2 seconds of life here, I would like to do a shout out to System AU, who's given us a shout out and more or less probably watching us right now. They're on Twitter at System AU, and they're also at systemau.net.au because they're out of Australia, of course. Thank you guys for giving us a shout out.
Yep.
All right, Glenn, you're up.
I guess last but not least is me. So earlier, Bruce, you were talking about it's a pain in the rear. I'll paraphrase. It's a pain in the rear to keep track of everything that you need to charge. I used to say the same thing. The watch, the tablet, the Nexus, the Note 3, the Note 5. I had all these devices that I needed to charge, but I had like 16 wall warts and all that kind of stuff. Well, I found this on Amazon, and I took a chance on it, and I'm very happy I took a chance on it. It's in the show notes for you, at least, if you want to go to the link where this exact one is. I got it the day we did the show last week, or the day you guys did the show last week, and I've been playing with it, and at the moment, it's got my Bluetooth LG Tone headset, my Galaxy Gear It's got a few other things, plus the base for this tablet, and it's really cool because it is 6 ports. It will not pass data. It's power only. But it's up to 12 amps, so it'll do 2 amps per port. Now, that being said, I think from what I can see, if you don't plug in to some of the ports, that power can be rerouted down to the other ports. It supposedly has some extra technology to make sure stuff doesn't overheat, make sure that it's not going to over voltage, current control, stuff like that. It cost about $24.99, at least at the time that I purchased it, and it is really small. I mean, you can see the box itself is almost the size of what it is. So I've got it hidden away. I'll go ahead and show you guys here. I've got it hidden away back behind here. This is the actual box right here, and it just plugs into a single wall or power strip outlet. And yeah, I know the cable management's a mess, but guess what? Behind the tablet, it doesn't matter because I can't see it. So, but it does a really good job. It's so far, for devices that I'm worried about it overcharging, I just kind of hold a timer in my head so my watch, once it hits 100%, it's usually about 35, 40 minutes. I unplug it and I just go do whatever I want to do. But for the money, I'm really, really happy with this. And I'd suggest it to anybody who has a lot of USB devices, because this so far has done me really well. Yeah, so far it's been good. The Fotiv 6-port 60-watt USB charger.
Bingo, bingo.
Very good. Jeff?
Well, I'll be very, very quick. This is kind of like a rehash of something we talked about before. I always have to struggle. Not struggle. I'm not a struggler. But I'm a straggler. That's it.
Oh.
I have used Kodi now and then, and I have a Chromecast, and I haven't been utilizing it. And I thought, well, what the heck? Let me set this up one last time and see if I can use Kodi to my Chromecast. And the way you do that is there is a file called Player Core Factory that you download. Just look for Player Core Factory. And you can put in what you want to be the external player for that. And I've used something called Bubble UPnP as my default player. You put that in, like when you see external, like here's org.soapcast.android, or if you want to use allcast or whatever, you just put that file in here where it's appropriate. Like here's M video player free for the external player. I made mine Bubble UMPN, and then you put that in. Over here in your directory. Let me stop by sharing and Android. Your apps under data. You go where Kodi is located, which is down here in org.xbmc.kodi. Files. I know this is kind of crazy. Kodi. User data. And you'll see I have here playercorefactory.xml. And that's the file right there. So let me exit out of here. Fire up my Kodi. Hi there. And here's Bubble Up UPnP, which is a free app on Android. Where is Kodi? Kodi. Fire up Kodi. Comes up. Go to videos. Go to my video add-on. I won't play anything illegal. I'll go to the CNNet podcasts. Latest videos. Bruce was talking about Samsung to introduce bendable phones in 2017. Click on that. It goes to stream it. Pulls up Bubble Up UPnP, and you can't tell here, but you can't really see it, but it's actually right now it is Chromecasting over to the living room, and it works absolutely flawlessly. And I don't know why it started working. I think the latest update to my Android has just made it work perfectly. So now you can, anything you watch on Kodi using playercorefactory.xml, you can now put to your Chromecast using Bubble Up UPnP, and it just works. It is just great. You can control it from here. I can pause it. I can do whatever I want, and it's crazy. And all of a sudden, it just started working. So, and it's been working flawlessly ever since.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's not hard to do either. It's very easy to do.
I will replay this and do that, Jeff, because I've been looking for a way. One of the biggest reasons that I haven't been using Kodi lately is usually when I'm using Kodi, I'm sitting right here where I'm sitting now.
Right, exactly.
Hey, Jeff.
I will be able to get it to my Den TV. Go ahead, Glenn.
Jeff, do you have a write-up or something that you use to go through that, or was that?
No, I did this before, but if you look up again, Kodi and Chromecast, you'll see that. And here's my Bubble Up UPnP. I don't know if you can hold it. Let me share this one last time.
Oh my God, he's not doing that.
What?
He's totally not doing.
George, while Jeff's looking that up, you mentioned, was that you that had been retweeting us?
Yeah, System AU. I met Dan, one of the. They're actually a podcast. They're pretty good. They're a Linux podcast out of Australia. I met one of them at OggCamp 2 years ago.
All right. Well, they retweeted us tonight for the show before we went live. So last week we honored Douglas Clement as the winner of the Tech and Coffee phone for retweeting us. So, System AU, you have won a Tech and Coffee thong for supporting Tech and Coffee's Android Journal. Thank you so very much.
I think we all have these thongs.
Wait a minute, I got just a regular white one. How did everybody else get flannel and flower pattern?
And the tie-dye?
Floral pink pattern swirly.
I only got a white one. Which I've never worn. I'm gonna throw.
This is my favorite one. This is my Saturday night one right here.
Oh God.
Actually, I only wear it when I have this mask on.
All right, Jeff, go ahead, brother.
Oh no, all I'm saying is look for playercorefactory.xml.
Okay.
And you will see it with Kodi. And there's lots of different write-ups on it, but it's very, very simple. Okay. All you do is put up your Bubble Up UPnP file name, and it finds it at whatever it is in your Android. You have to have it obviously on your Android device, but Bubble UPnP is free, and it works perfectly. And it works with all cast or anything else that does the Chromecast. You just got to put the player in the XML file, and there's instructions how to do it.
I may have to get the Raspberry Pi out and tinker with that. And
same thing. It is totally work with that.
Yep.
Just got to put it in the user data directory.
Cool.
All right. Hey, guys, thank y'all very much. You guys, panel especially, have a great rest of the week. And we'll do this again in about 7 days. So peace out, everybody.
Bazinga.